Good morning. I'm forecaster Jimmy O'Neill from the KMET Weather Center. For the Beaumont and Banning area, daytime hours, sunshine dominates. Highs are in the upper 50s. The daytime hours in the IE area, sunshine highs in the lower 60s. The afternoon hours in the Coachella Valley, sunshine dominates. Highs are in the mid to upper 60s. I'm forecaster Jimmy O'Neill for Smart Talk 1490 KMET.
That's right. It's the morning show here on ABC News Radio KMET 1490 AM. Really good day to be whatever you're doing. I know the weekend is upon us, and there's some great things to do. There's some great things to see, and there's some great things to have fun with. I will say this. The world is not happy right now. When you have people that love Elvis, you think, his daughter's never going to die at the young age that she did. I know I was watching kind of, the headline, and I saw that there was something wrong with her heart, and then she was rushed to the hospital. But I had this little thing, because lately a lot of people have been dying of, like, all kinds of things, and you're like, what's going on, right? At the age that she did, you're like, and I'm not going to lie, you kind of think, okay, that would be the mother, but not her, at a very young age. A lot of people are reacting right now, especially on this news, and this came in last night. I didn't even know she was in the area in Calabasas here, but Priscilla Presley, at the age of 54, suffered a cardiac arrest and then died later that day, which was yesterday. So this is really, 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 really sad. Again, the only child of Elvis and Lisa Marie. She was known around the world. She has so many friends around the world because, of course, her father's Elvis. I mean, how would you not, right? But at a time like this, you go, what? Like, anyone can have a heart attack at that age? Why? She wasn't, not healthy or fit or anything. So I think, there'll be information around the corner. But like I said, some people are getting, the virus, and they're understanding that sometimes it can have repercussions like this. It ages your parts inside, your body parts. So I have some friends that honestly are in their 40s, and they look kind of like their bodies have turned into 80-year-olds. So don't get, anything of the virus. So that's what I'm going to say on that. I'm sure they'll say, it's kind of natural causes, but there's nothing natural about that when you look at her and you think how healthy she is, how healthy she was. And, so it's one of those things where you kind of go, okay, and I say this, check in on yourself, right? If you have a pain or you have something that's not normal, be aware of it, and then, try to get, as much as you can, whatever you can for it. So we'll share some information a little bit later, but I will say this, switching gears 100%. Is something that we always appreciate, especially every other Friday, I should say. Here is our tech gear of the week. We got our very own Joel Prevo of Prevo Partners. Good morning, Joel. What's going on?
Good morning. It's good to be back, Aaron.
Yeah, I know. I know there are a lot of things out there. I will say, you have some cool stuff, and I know CES just happened. I know one of these things, especially those that are looking for a dash cam. I have one, not gonna lie. I got it just in case, and then I was happy that I got it because it's always recording. But there are some things that I wish I had, and I don't know if this one has. But can you talk about it?
Yeah, so Ring came out with their car cam, and it got some buzz at CES. Like you said, dash cams aren't entirely new, but a lot of people trust Ring at their homes with their doorbell, the smart doorbell, and it's a very popular model to have on your doorbell because it's really easy to use. Gives you that video and the two-way conversation even when you're not home. So the car cam is going to be likely as reliable and as user-friendly as that. It's $200. It's an investment in this tech. It does require that LTE connectivity as far as being able to stream and record and save that data. But it could come in to be a really important piece if you were in some kind of conflict or a crash to document what really took place. And this is not just for people worry about the story of scammers and people taking advantage of people, and certainly we know that exists out there, but it's also the fact that anytime there's a traumatic situation, and a car crash is it's traumatic for anybody who's been involved in one. Even fender benders can be stressful, obviously, but your memory can be not exactly reliable. You might believe you saw things a certain way, remember them a certain way, but the camera's not going to lie, and that's important when it comes down to what really took place, what were the facts. And so these cameras are going to become more and more popular, and when Ring puts something out that is a trusted name like that, I think they're going to be a real player in that market.
Okay, so it has a feature here. I'm looking at it for the very first time. And I said more need to do this. There was a company, and then they kind of came and went. This has it. In the event that somebody breaks in, it's recording just like the Ring would at your door, right?
Yep. So it's going to pick up on motion just like the doorbell would. You can program your doorbells a variety of ways. I have the Sky Bell, which is very similar. You can program it to start recording on motion or start recording on the button press. It's up to you, however you operate. Because sometimes people are putting these doorbells places they don't need them, right? If they're using that, they just say, "Oh, I'll put one on the back door too," even though nobody rings the doorbell, just for motion. It's like
True.
an easy way to camera in. But this car cam is going to trigger on motion and pick up the events, even if you're not in the car, even if you're not driving. So that's a good feature for people who are a little concerned about those overnight people walking around grabbing door handles, smash and grab kind of stuff.
Well, I like it. I'm not gonna lie. It's one of those things. I had a Ring. I no longer have it, obviously, but I will say this. It's one of those things where it's like very valuable. Okay, I've captured some funny things. I should say the person who had it captured some funny things, and it was like, and you could record it, and you could save it, and you can access it on your phone. Now, I will say this. I have a tracker in my car. I talked about this. What is it? The tag, right? And then there's other things like GPS and other things that are enabled. This has something like that, so you could track it in the event that it's stolen, right?
Right. Yeah. So again, like you said, a lot of people are using, AirTag or other things to do that with their vehicles or other important things. Yeah, this would be assuming they are in a hurry and they don't rip it out and throw it outside. They're going to be tracked until they figure that out. So it's another layer of safety in that regard too, if your car is stolen.
Yeah, and I will say this, even though the price is, what it is, it's actually affordable because the one that I got, okay, and it's one of those where you have to hook it up, but here's what I don't like, and I don't know if this has it. What I don't like, and I don't know what the features are on this to install it, but what I don't like is in order to power it up, you have to have this cord, right? And if you've ever gotten in the vehicle with someone like in Lyft or any of those ride-sharing things, you'll see usually one in the middle, right? It's usually attached to or around the center of the car, and some do attach to the rearview mirror. But the one that I got goes to the back as well. But it was $300 and some. Now, I will say this: I captured a accident that happened in front of me, and in that way, I was like, "Do they need me?" They didn't, thank God. But if they needed proof of who hit who when, like I would have had it. You know what I mean? The only problem that I have with it is sometimes it's on, sometimes it's not. I'm like, and I have to like remove the little cord that connects it. So I don't know how this connects, but I will say this: it's worth every dime. My point is, at that price, I was like, I don't know if I want it, but something told me I need it just in case. Now, when I'm driving or when I'm on the road, there's a lot of things that I see around me. If I had the one in the back, that would help as well. I don't know if this has that as well, but I will say this. For monthly payments that it has here, it says take up to 12 months to pay with no interest and no late fees if you qualify. I would say take advantage of that if you can and just get it because it has two-way talk. Now, the two-way talk, do you know how that works?
I just think it's an opportunity for if you are in the car and your hands free and the people in your network could then, you say your spouse or your loved one who has access, they could two-way talk with you while you're driving. It's just like a phone essentially, but you're not messing with your phone. So your phone could be doing navigation, and you could have someone who drops in on that. You could also drop in if you needed to when somebody's rifling through your car, I suppose, and tell them to get out of there if you catch it live. The other piece is that it has forward and rear facing cameras on it. So For example, you could have it parked in your driveway. Let's say you park it in your driveway overnight. Um, it's now a security camera for your driveway because it's viewing out your front window. So you could flip that open when there's motion outside, and it's now essentially a home security camera for that space while it's parked at your home. So there's kind of some multifunction there, not just the capturing an accident while you're driving. So kind of a lot going on. It's available for pre-order. I think we're going to learn a lot more. I think the thing that piqued my interest is that it's coming from Ring, so it's a kind of that trusted, tried and true brand that's out there. Not a bad price point, as you said. And so people, I think, are going to assume this should be a good product, considering Ring has been in the market for a long time. So um, I would hope some of those features you're questioning, once it gets out in the market, we'll see how it really works.
Well,
And that it's reliable.
Okay, it's like a security system for your car and for anything around you. I will say this: in LA, we've had a lot of hit and run things. I don't know if it happens for like vehicles, but it does for bodies, and that's why I like it. I think if anything, just like anybody that knows a Ring, as you said, at your doorstep, or some people use it even for in the home, like in the living room, to monitor the kids or monitor the pet, right? Movement enables it, right? And I will say there are some funny moments on that if you have it in a public space of the house and you let everyone know. But even if you don't, it's a good way to monitor. I will say people have done that. Some have been hacked, whatever. But I will say this for your vehicle. I found several like ideas for this when I'll give you an example. Somebody keyed the car a while back, and I was always like, we live in an apartment complex, so you're like, who would do that, right? Did they do it by accident? It was a very big like shh, right? And I'm like, how can we get that person? This was back when GoPro was the only thing, right? And then that's why I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like, some other products like Owl is one of them, but they're like, $300, $400, some even $500. They have sometimes a subscription, and then they have this Wi-Fi thing. But other than the Wi-Fi, this has LTE, which is basically cellular service. So I don't know how it taps into it, but if it does, I say get it, because you never know. Like, I'll give you an example. The cops are I've been broken into so many times. I've had good things stolen. I've had hard drives stolen. I've had never a laptop, but I've had friends who go to the gym and they have their laptop stolen. That's a lot of money, and cops don't have the time. I remember telling one, "Can you just dust it?" I was so naive at the time because I'm like, I'm sure they love fingerprints, and you think they can? They don't do that stuff. So if you have like a cam that can actually monitor that, A, you could prove it. B, you could probably tell your insurance company, "See, they stole this." Your insurance company will actually cover it. I've come to the vehicle and the window is broken, and it just makes sense just to pay for it outright. But it's a nuisance, is my point. So my point is, it's good to have this kind of recorded. I wonder if you could say, "Hey, you stop," and then they go, "Oh God," what I mean, because it notifies you right away, right?
Yeah, no, I think you absolutely could, and I'm hoping that again, so much crime, um, to avoid crime, it's deterring it for the most part, right? I mean, there's always going to be some level of criminal that is more persistent, and those are harder to deal with. But if you ask a safety professional, which I'm not, but I've talked to them for my other career in long-term care, they'll talk about your number one thing you can do for safety is deter. And so that's why, when people have security systems and things and they have those postings around their property, that deters a certain criminal. Not all of them, but it deters a lot of criminals. Say, it's not worth it. That's not low-hanging fruit. And as we see these things come into the market more, you're likely to see criminals who understand, oh, that's got a camera on it. I don't need that kind of attention, or it's got an alarm. It's going to go off and a camera, and it does these things. I've learned about this hardware. That's not the car I wanted to mess with. Maybe. Again, some criminals don't care, less to lose, whatever. But there's certain categories that are going to move on to a different opportunity because you have these things. So I'm going to be very interested to see how these hit the market and how successful they are, because I think it does play a factor in just hopefully deterring some of that behavior, because they'll start to recognize this hardware, or who knows, you put a little sticker in your window that says, kind of like the security stickers all over people's homes. You could do that. You could put it on your car and say monitored, or what have you, and maybe that would help too.
Yeah, I think it would. I think it would. And at the same time, I want them like on video, so you could be like, see, that's the person. Because some of them are dumb. They don't wear masks. Some of them are just like stupid. They break it with someone else, and then you're like, and then they steal from someone else. You're like, look. So you turn it into the authorities. You have proof. They will work on that. And then if there's like a face tracking thing, I think they need to go next level. I know Jess would agree on that. But I think if anything, it's a good buy. It's a good purchase. I don't know if they have like a higher level of this, but I would say subscribe to the service that they have. It makes sense. If you've ever been broken into, you know it makes sense, especially when your car is parked. Now, I will say this. The one that I have that I paid $400 for, okay, plus including tax, it doesn't have a feature. That's why I like this. It doesn't have a feature that it could go on when it's not powered up by the vehicle. That's why I say it's kind of like, compared to this. If this has the ability to be parked and it doesn't have to be charged while it's parked, or if it has a way to be charged, I don't know. I'm sure there's an install kit or some way to install it real quick. I guess that's what I'm saying. I don't see on this particular, and I'm sure there's more info on it, how it connects to the car, maybe the battery, so it stays on, so it doesn't drain the battery. I'm sure there are things and concerns about that. But at the same time, it's kind of like, I would get it if I didn't have the one that I have, if that makes sense. And I'm almost thinking, would I trade it off? I think the answer is yes, I would, you know?
Yeah, and I think, as you said, rideshare, it's not uncommon to get in a rideshare that has some of these things. And if you are a Lyft driver or Uber driver, these are going to be really popular because, I've spoken with some of those drivers, and they're like, yeah, I mean, my own safety is obviously top priority, and you get some kind of crazy stuff when you're essentially a taxi cab. And you might get great people, but you might get those wild people too. And having a camera is important so that you can kind of document what goes on if things get unsafe in your vehicle. So I think that's a market that's obviously blown up. A lot of people are driving as a side gig or as their number one gig, and these really help. I remember 10 years ago getting into a Lyft and with some friends, and the person just had a friend on FaceTime on their phone mounted on the dash, and they would say, "Yep, just so you know, you're on video with my friend who just keeps me company while I drive." And I mean, we all knew like, oh, that's just them trying to stay safe. So they like have a witness, and that was kind of before they they now could just do this, and they would have it all the time. They wouldn't have to be bugging somebody who will talk to them for their shift.
Well, especially if it like you're like an underground thing or like you have bad reception. I will say this. There are some that live stream, right? And there's concerns about that, but at the same time I go, whatever, because it does take cellular service to do that. But I say, you know what? Just do it. It's your own vehicle. Whoever steps in your vehicle, whether you approve or not, you just kind of let them know, oh, hey, by the way, it's recording, and you'll be fine. You know what I mean? But like if I had a lady in my life right now, I would be like, get it. You know, I would get it for her. And then be like, put it in. I don't need a monitor. I just want to know you're safe, right? Because there's so many things that happen. I had my mom one time. She was on the road, and somebody got in the vehicle. And I think they did it by accident. But nowadays, people are robbing people. People are, like, doing the things that, like, were in movies, and now they're doing it all the time. I'll give you an example. Over here in El Monte, a city over, there was somebody who actually had a ring. I'm sorry. They should have had a ring. They had another cam thing. But they got robbed, and they were a Lyft driver, and the guy hit him with his gun. Thankfully, they caught the guy like days later because they had the record of the video of the camera. He didn't know he was being recorded. I would like this if it were more subtle instead of like in your face for people like that, because then you get them, and and then you have proof for other things that you got robbed. It's not just a story. And there's a lot of things. Sometimes there's claims about this happened, that happened, this happened. People take advantage of drivers, right? They say, oh, he wanted something, but you don't realize until you see the footage that person wanted something, and so the person's safe because there's so many he said, she said. They take advantage. There have been so many drivers that I know, if they didn't have one, they'd be like, you know what I mean? They'd be like, it's just a story, but they have proof, and they don't know they're being recorded. So I like it if it's subtle. I would like that feature, but I think the majority of it, I'm glad they're in the market. It's a much needed market. I think everyone needs one. I know in overseas territory like Russia and other areas, they have it. And sometimes you see like a huge meteorite come crashing through. Right? We've seen those. Those are dash cams. That's why I say get it. We're kind of behind, and we're not. If you're a Lyft driver, you know this. If you're an Uber driver, you know this. If you're any other ride-sharing person, you know this. This is your security for your car. Get it if you're, just like, in a neighborhood where it gets broken into all the time. Get it for that. I would say do that, you know what I mean? Or if you have a weird neighbor or something like that. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We got another product. This is interesting, and I guarantee you, people, you're going to want this, not just for your fam, but probably the love of your life. We'll talk about that next here on The Morning Show. Stay tuned.
New teen driver in the family? Just bought your first home? Have a new bundle of joy? Every life change matters, and by reviewing your insurance policy with Little & Sons Insurance Services, you could be benefiting with big savings. Little & Sons Insurance Services, a family-owned insurance agency who values the old-fashioned way of doing business. They work for you, not an insurance company, meaning your best interests are at heart. They can custom tailor your policy based on specific needs at a price you can afford. Home, auto, or business, you're covered. Call 1-844-9-LITTLE. That's 1-844-9-LITTLE, or go online to little, the letter N, sons.com. That's littlensons.com.
Hi, everyone. This is Bernadette, the host of One Life Radio, your #1 source for alternative and holistic health since 2011. One Life Radio is designed to educate and inspire. Visit us at oneliferadio.com because you get one body, you get one mind, and you get one life. Get out there today and make the most of it. Tune in weekdays at 1 p.m. on 1490 KMET Smart Talk, ABC News Radio.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS or state? Did you miss sending out a prior year tax return? The IRS is out to collect now more than ever, and they'll use any means necessary. They legally can and will garnish your wages, take your money, and even seize your property. If you're behind on your taxes, call the Tax Relief Hotline right now at 951-224-9000. That's 951-224-9000. 951-224-9000. You can legally get your tax debt under control, and in many cases, get the breathing room you need. Garnished wages, property seizures, bank levies can stop immediately, but you have to call. Many of our specialists are IRS enrolled agents. They know the system and how to make it work for you. Don't wait for the IRS to come down on you. Act now so you can get your tax debt under control. Call the Riverside office today for free info at 951-224-9000. That's 951-224-9000. 951-224-9000.
KMET AM 1490 presents Cal State San Bernardino basketball. This Saturday afternoon, January 14th at 3 p.m., the Coyotes meet Chico State in a CCAA conference game. Live from Acker Gym in Chico. I'm Mitch McClellan. Join me as the Coyotes meet the Wildcats. Cal State San Bernardino basketball broadcasts are brought to you by Dignity Health, Hatfield Buick GMC, Raising Cane's, Kenny Law, and the Hyatt Place Hotel, Ontario Mills. That's Cal State San Bernardino basketball action live from Chico this Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. on your exclusive radio home for Coyote basketball, KMET AM 1490.
That's right. It's the morning show here on ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM. Don't forget, you also have the ability to get Alexa to play it in any and all of your rooms. We appreciate you. We know there's a lot of things that you can do. Also, download the app. It's free. And also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. You can also follow Joel at Prevo Part. Actually, no, it's Tech. Wait, how do we follow you, Joel?
Best way probably to find me on LinkedIn, or you can go to prevopartners.com and all the contact information is on there. But LinkedIn's probably the best way to see me, and or check out the website.
Okay, speaking of see, I love this next thing, man. I remember on Shark Tank, they had a thing, and they actually proposed a idea like this. I don't know if it's the same people, but this is licensed stuff, which makes it even more fun, because they used to have this, I think they were going to do at the mall, and I remember seeing some at the mall, and I'm like, okay, they look kind of weird, whatever, but this one goes next level when it comes to you or your loved one as a superhero. Can you talk about it?
Yeah, so it's the Hasbro Selfie series, and basically you can turn yourself, immortalize yourself into your own action figure, and you take a digital print of yourself, so basically taking selfies, and they give you a little instructional video of how to do that. Send that off, and then they 3D print you as an action figure of your choosing, and now you can put yourself on the shelf next to whatever else you entertain yourself with. But I think it's a brilliant gift as well, as you kind of alluded to, whether it's for kids or other loved ones. I think it would be hilarious to send somebody an action figure of themselves for their office or their home. And imagine a whole family opening up gifts and everyone's in an action figure position. So really hilarious. They're $60, which I thought honestly is fairly reasonable when you think about the fact that people spend that and more on action figures of other people. Why not have one of yourself? And it could be really fun. So I just keep picturing how fun it would be to, like send an action figure or get an action figure made of your grandma and people who might not see it coming, and it would just be a riot.
Well, I see the Power Ranger one, which is pink, and I would say there's a lot of people that will like this, especially if you're a Power Ranger. But let's talk about the licensing of it, which I think is cool biz as well. Because it's one thing to have you printed as a action figure. It's one thing to have you as, people like cosplay, like going to comic, but to have you in the verse of, like, I think Star Wars is the thing. What action figure, do you know any action figures that you could be?
Yeah, so they feature Marvel, Star Wars, Ghostbusters, G.I. Joe, and Power Rangers right now. So that's a huge variety of licensed materials that you can utilize to make yourself into one of those action figures. So really cool. And I'm guessing as they get more popular, it'll probably even expand beyond that. But it's a little 6-inch person, so you can picture that. Put that on your shelf, and like I said, you could do the whole family if you want to.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the brands here. They have Star Wars The Black Series, which looks cool. They have, U.S. Boba Fett. Okay, that's awesome. If you want to be Palpatine, I don't know who would want to be that. Not sure about the Chewbacca one. And then they have Stormtrooper. Okay, I guess some people wanted to be a Stormtrooper on this. Ewok. Okay, that kind of makes sense. And then, of course, there's some other stuff that they have, as well as some other characters. And I will say, like, I'm looking at them right now, and they're pretty amazing. Oh, I think people would like to be the Sith. I can see Jess as a Sith Lord. Like, I think that would be kind of cool. I think it's kind of a thing that I need to, like, you know what I mean? It's a good gift.
And if you want to, yeah, it totally is. And if you want to play around with it, you can just download their app. If you go to their website, which is Hasbro Pulse, so HASBROPULSE.com. There's a QR code. You can just go there, or you can probably find it if you just search. But mess with their app so you get a feel for what you'll do as far as scanning your face, so that the likeness will really reflect your personality when you get it 3D printed.
Yeah, I will say I'm looking at the brands here, and let's go to the Marvel series, because I'm thinking like of a couple of people that would love this. I guarantee Jess wishes he were here. He would. Okay, let's go to this Marvel Legends series and Marvel Retro. Pick one.
Oh boy, I'm looking too.
This is like
oh my gosh, it's so funny. I mean,
I'll go to Legends series. Okay, it's hard to make a decision. I know.
The X-Men. Yeah, I'm looking at. Oh my gosh, there's so many.
There are, and I think kids would love this, especially like they could be Spider. You could be an X-Man. You could be, the women could be Emma Frost. Who doesn't want that? Right. You know what I mean? Like, so there's some cool things here. It's loading on my system here, but I will say, like just ask your lady, hey, what character do you like? And even if she doesn't, just show her a couple of them. Be like, well, if you could have like, a costume, what costume would you like, right? And she'd be like, oh, I like this, I like that. I'm looking at a few. Okay, for example, Emma Frost, Rogue. I see this right here. I know a couple people who would be Rogue 100%. But right there, like, you could be Emma Frost with your face, right? And you know right. It's you. I think that's a great thing that you know it's you. That's why I love this. I'm glad they did this licensing. I think it's smart. It's something that they need to do, more for the kid. Oh my God, you could be Okay, oh, Jess, he's so missing out. Marvel's Forge, Storm, and Jubilee figurines. Okay, you can have your whole family here as, like, Cyclops. Dude, you could be a cool Cyclops, especially with that shirt that you have.
Hey, I mean, I think it'd be hilarious. And I think it would be one of those things that'd be super funny to do. And then who knows, you could do it again with a totally different theme and, get a huge kick out of it.
Yeah, you could be Iron Man, you could be Captain America, you could be Black Widow. Oh, man, I know a lot of women that would love to be Captain. I'm sorry, Black Widow. Okay, there's Howard the Duck. I don't really understand that one. All right. Yeah. So I think so. We want to be Gamora. Anyway, look. Okay, I'm gonna have fun with this. I will say this. It's great for a gift, and you're right. It's at the right price. I think if anything, it's one of those things where you can get a picture. You can do that, but or just say, hey, do this here, and then expect something in about a week for me. Okay, so I would say do that. For the love of your life or somebody you want to impress, and you'll be fine. Okay, before we let you go, I know the last thing is also in the camera thing, but it's about something that I think people really don't understand a lot about. But when you have this, you kind of you're never alone because birds are a thing, right?
Yeah. So, we talked about this on a different tech talk one time, but it was really still in the crowdfunding phase. And now it's ready for pre-order, and it's made a little splash at CES as well. It's called Bird Buddy. And for those who are birders, I can't claim to be a birder, but I've seen the value of it in terms of people who are, and especially in senior care, they often are putting birdhouses out, or bird feeders for residents, so that certain windows there's some birds to watch. And for people who love that, this would be a really cool product for them. It's a little bird feeder that has a camera attached, that then you can remotely access which birds are coming to your feeder. And on top of that, the camera actually has the technology layer that it's identifying that bird for you. So if you're trying to learn more about birds, so whether it's the kid or it's someone who really knows birds, it's going to tell you this is a whatever bird, so you can study it and learn more, and if that's your interest. I think it's kind of fascinating if you think about it. And again, I gravitate to seniors just because I have a long career working in that market. But if, imagine your loved one is now in an assisted living or other care community, and maybe doesn't have access to this home where they used to see birds outside their window, and that was important to them. Now you could put this bird feeder up anywhere where those birds are going to be, and they could remotely through a tablet view those birds, see those birds just like before, and even read about them and study them as they come and go. And so it would kind of be one of those things that would allow them to still have that touch. I in Minnesota, cabins are a really common thing. People have cabins on lakes because there's so many lakes. And I always picture that family who has the family cabin, and say grandma or grandpa has to move into a care community and now no longer maybe gets to go to the cabin or doesn't get to go as often. And that was an important part to them, that when they'd go up to the cabin, maybe they'd sit and watch the birds. Well, you could put this at the cabin so that they are still getting camera footage from that space they used to love. And the same types of birds are still around, and it would feel familiar. So there's a real market for this for people, and I think it's a really interesting development. Well, it's not inexpensive. It's everywhere from $200 to about $250, but the technological component with identifying the birds, I think, is a really interesting layer.
Well, let's talk about that real quick. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a bird fan, okay, but and I know some people will be offended like that, like, why don't you like bird? I just but I will say this. It's cool because it identifies the bird, right? So it makes you very smart about what bird it is. Then it also kind of in a way reminds me like I can see kids going, oh my God, we got a new bird, because it has like an unlock feature of this is the bird you just unveiled, right? So it's kind of like Pokemon-ish, if that makes sense. But you're feeding them, and then you're able to track it without having to watch it 100%. And then you see them up close. You could post it on your Facebook feed. You could post it as a video, as a picture, whatever. I think people would be like, huh? But it has another cool feature, which I think is really cool. Like in the network, kind of like Ring, right? In the network of other people that have this, it kind of shows you where they go as well, because it tracks them kind of like face tracking, but bird tracking, if that makes any sense, which I think is cool.
I think for birders, which again, full disclosure, I am not, but for those who love this, I think it does make a lot of sense. And again, like anything that we all, whatever your passion is, whatever your hobby is, it turns into a community. That part of it is the add-on, right? You might love birds, but you really love the community of people who also love birds because you get to talk about them and, oh, I once saw this or I saw that, and all your knowledge. Well, this keeps you connected, and so it maybe expands your connection because you could do this with other people who have the like interest. And again, back to my soapbox about seniors, because I think anything we can do to enhance their lives is really important, or other disabled folks, anybody. This would allow them to keep or grow that interest in a way that they might not have otherwise. So I love when technology enables those things, and this is a good example. And it's, I love finding things like this, even if they're not my personal passion, because we're all so different, and this has a place in a lot of people's lives. So I think it's really cool. And there's, the different bundles that they sell have different add-ons. So if you want to buy their tablet, all that, but you don't need to. You can do it with your own device, which personally I think is always easier because you're already familiar. But it does have add-ons depending on what you want to use, and different kinds of feeders as well. Obviously different birds eat different stuff, and hummingbirds have their own kind of feeder. And so check that out on their website. It's called Bird Buddy. I think it's going to be a really cool thing for people who are really interested in that.
It is. I'm not going to lie. My mom has a story about a hummingbird, and I was going to get her a hummingbird feeder. Now, I'm wondering about this, if it'll be worth it, because I guess you're going, okay, this is a new hummingbird, this is another hummingbird, this is another hummingbird, because she doesn't talk about it, but there were actually like a nest full of hummingbirds in the area, and she kind of like helped them along. So, and then she kind of like observed them and kind of understood something about them. So I think if anything, it's like a good story, and then you could capture it like on cam and then make it a story, and then just use one of those programs where you make it like into a cartoon or something, and then there's your story. But I think it's good for kids. I think it's good for adults. I think it's good for, honestly, families. Because then you could talk about kind of like, hey, don't live in the bubble where you're at. Know that these things exist, and they have a home, they have a fam. This person, like, he's solo bird, now he's got a fam, now he's coming to us for his food. He's got a nest over there right in that tree, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of cool. So I think if anything, it tells a story, and I think if anything, it creates like fun for the fam. And I say anything you could do for the fam, do that. Back to seniors, I think it's smart, especially like you're saying, if someone has to go in a home or they're sick or something, but they know little bird, Joe, or little bird, Anne, they're like, hey, oh, good, they're taken care of. And then they see like little updates from you. Maybe you're the son taking care of the home, or you're the daughter taking care of the house. Then it makes sense, if that makes, any sense. But anyway, I know we're out of time. I know we went overtime more than not, but I think this is like one of those record-keeping shows that if you're thinking of something for the fam, do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's been fun to be back. I appreciate it, and we'll be chatting again in a couple weeks.
All right. That's Joel of Prevo Partners. If you have a product and or service or something that you need to be kind of talked about and, of course, promoted, Prevo Partners is where it's at. Joel's part of a great group that do everything in order to get you and your product seen and or heard. All right. Thank you, Joel, for spending time with us here on The Morning Show.
Yeah, great to be here. Thanks.
All right. More right after this. Stay tuned.
All aspects of divorce are up for discussion on Divorcing Your Mortgage, Fridays at 4 o'clock p.m. Pacific Time. Divorcing Your Mortgage with your host, Mark Gertz, will emphasize finances in real estate. Mark is a certified divorce lending professional, and along with guest experts, will cover the entire spectrum of divorce in America. What you don't know can hurt you. Find out what you need to know every Friday afternoon at 4 p.m. Help find solutions to your financial uncoupling on Divorcing Your Mortgage.
Standard time is here. That means shorter days and cooler nights that make you want to stay inside. Don't get caught in the cold. Franklin Mechanical Systems can do a preventative maintenance check on your heating unit to get it working right. For cleaning, repair, or a new installation, call them for a free estimate. Franklin Mechanical Systems, for all your residential and commercial heating and air conditioning needs. Call their Beaumont office at 951-845-1000. That's 951-845-1000, and stay warm today.
Are you paying rent because you think you cannot afford to live in your dream home? Are you renting because you don't believe that you have the down payment funds to purchase your own home? The Siegel lending team at ronismylender.com has up to $25,000 to help qualified people purchase their own home at amazing interest rates. Contact the Siegel lending team today at ronismylender.com. Again, ronismylender.com, license under NMLS 217037. ronismylender.com.
When you want the best performance for your vehicle, think only of Scott's Headers and Mufflers in Beaumont, right off the I-10 and 60 freeways. Check out Scott's complete list of performance products on their website at hdrinfo.com. Scott's Headers and Mufflers can recommend ways for your car or truck to get better gas mileage and cut down on emissions. Need your car or truck to pass smog only? Go to Scott's Headers and Mufflers in Beaumont. Find out all of your questions on vehicle performance by logging on to hdrinfo.com. Scott's Headers and Mufflers in Beaumont, hdrinfo.com.
Tried shipping a package lately? It's amazing how difficult and time-consuming it can be. Packing envelopes, boxes, second-day ground, next-day air, it's all enough to give you a headache. Next time, do yourself a favor, go with the pros at the UPS store in Beaumont. They'll pack it right and let you know all your shipping options. You can also take care of everyday tasks like copies, faxing, notary services, and live scan fingerprinting. And while you're there, pay your Edison, gas company, and Verizon bills. Open extended hours Monday through Saturday. The UPS store in Beaumont, located in the Oak Valley Plaza at 1440 Beaumont Avenue. Call 951-769-5956. That's 951-769-5956. Online at the upsstorelocal.com/5027 or Google 5027.
That's right. It's the morning show here on ABC News Radio, KMET 1490 AM. We appreciate each and every one of you. Again, some cool stuff. If you have any questions about where to find those things, it's very simple. Just follow Joel Prevost at Prevost Partners. Again, mybirdbuddy.com is where you can check that out. HasbroPulse.com has all those great figurines that you can use as hero action figures. And Ring.com has the new product for your car. So some great stuff. Make sure to check it out, and there you go. Okay, there's some things, like I said, let's go back to it real quick, and I'm just getting updates on this. Again, we don't track every single person, we don't know all the information, but again, the headline probably of the week and probably even of the month, if you know Elvis, you always think, good about the fam. Lisa Marie, unfortunately dead, and a lot of people are paying tribute on this because this is something that I'm just reading right now, and I didn't even know this. It says her half-brother, Navarone Garcia, wrote in his tribute that he knew the past couple years were not easy on her in the wake of her son Benjamin's death. So I know that has a hand in things. Obviously, it's not fun. It's horrible, and people are like, what do we do? A lot of people are going to post a lot of pictures of a moment they had with her. She was really nice. I forgot, not going to lie, that she was married for a little while to Michael Jackson. She has a history of just things that went right for a little and then went wrong. And that's kind of the thing. So unfortunately, I didn't know she was married to Nick Cage for a while. But there you go. So you're gonna learn a lot of things about her, and of course she had a good heart. Very big in like if she ever met a fan, they would say she was always nice and very like. Sometimes people don't have to be like very nice, and they are. But if you see her, like she got into the muse. About music, and there were a lot of things that I think she didn't get to do that she wanted to do. But if you have a son who died, and again, I don't know that situation particularly, but that creates a problem as well. You're kind of like inside, kind of sad, upset, and like why? You know what I mean? So a lot of people are kind of understanding that, and they're understanding a lot more on that. So you'll see a lot of stuff on her. A lot of tribute. Rita Wilson on her, I think it's Instagram, said, "Our hearts are broken with the sudden shocking passing of Lisa Marie Presley. Tom Hanks, had spent some time with the family during the Elvis movie promotional tour. She helped promote about her father. Lisa Marie was so honest and direct, vulnerable in a state of anticipation about the movie. That's what she wanted. She wanted the story told about again, her father. She spoke eloquently about her father, what the movie meant to her, that it was a celebration of her dad. She had her gorgeous daughters Finley and Harper with her, who made us laugh. Again, I don't know how many kids she had. She showed us her home privately, Graceland, and she made it feel like home to us. She was so gracious to us, Austin, Baz, and guests. If you haven't heard her music, please go listen. She had a sultry voice, a power and tenderness that I have always loved. Our hearts and our prayers go out to Riley, Harper, Finley, Danny, Navarone, and Priscilla. A mother should never have to lose a child. See, it was a big thing, so she knows. Lisa Marie lost her precious son, Benjamin. Priscilla loses her only daughter. It's too much. Sending love to the family. Prayers for peace and strength. It's a thing, man. This is just sad. Here's another one. Pink. Okay, Pink said, "Oh, this one hurts my heart. Lisa Marie, you are one of a kind, funny as smart as whip, sensitive, talented, witty, mean, loving, mean in a good way, loving, generous, judgmental, but always right. She'll tell you it like it is. Loyal, and you adored your children. My heart breaks for you and your family, and she calls them beautiful family, and your children. The world lost a rare gem today. May your soul rest in peace, friend." There's a couple other people as well that knew her well. She was, here's one that we had on the show, Brett Michaels. Brett, tweeted out, and I don't think he knows what to say really. He says, "My deepest thoughts and condolences go out to the family and friends on the loss of, and then he hashtagged her. So I didn't know she was on Twitter. But there you go. And then there's people that you don't even know that talk about her. Again, she's one that kind of like, she was in and around, but still part of, in a way, like the way people are. Like, okay, I know I'm not that, but at the same time, you have someone who everyone knows, her father, right? Which again, made the scene internationally. So a lot of people are talking about that. They're kind of like what happened. Again, the loss of a kid is never fun. And a lot of people are saying, we're so sorry, this is not what we wanted. People just around the world that are very, normal are like, let's see, I'm looking at one. This lady says, "Some families just seem to have more than their share of heartbreak. My condolences to her mother and children. She seemed like a lovely person." This is on kind of the outside, that don't know the situation. So there you go. I'm sure you want to weigh in as well. There's a lot of things happening. Again, all I can say is just be careful and know that the people that are around you are there for a reason. And, some people are going through a hard time. I have a friend who, not gonna lie, I saw Avatar yesterday, and there was a scene in it which kind of makes your heart break. Okay, I won't tell you because obviously I don't want you knowing what the scene is because it's, a little like spoiler. But, whenever somebody loses somebody, I'm going to leave it at that, they kind of go like, and I'll say, it kind of reminded me of someone that I know that's on my social media. I knew him when he was younger. And then, I came across him because he actually worked for a company. And I'm like, I kind of was like picking his brain about, how like pay per click works and all that. He worked for a good company. I'm not going to say his name, but he lost his son. And sometimes he posts about his son, how he's losing it, you know what I mean? And he has another son as well, so he puts his time on that. And he's a coach, and he's good with other kids. But even he's like still having heartbreak years later. When your son is young and you're, he's not old. He's more like my age-ish. So we're not old, but it's no fun. So I know that had a thing with her. There's a lot of information coming in about that, like this. It says Lisa Marie Presley's final Instagram post before death, about her son. Again, I didn't know this. This is one of those things where, you're kind of like, okay. It says Lisa Marie Presley's final social media post before her death was about her grief over her late son. Aw, that's hard. It says the only child of Elvis and Priscilla. Talks about that stuff again. She opened up about her grief on People magazine. Her son Benjamin died by, no wonder, suicide in 2020. He was 27. Okay, that makes sense. In her final Instagram post, which was shared, let's see. Okay, this was a while back actually, but I guess she didn't take to social media after that. August 31st, 2022, she opened up about her grief about her son. It says, in honor of National Grief Awareness Day, I wrote an essay about grief, which was posted today on @People. I thought I'd post it here in the hopes that anyone who needs to hear all of this, it helps in some way. Yeah, that I will say this. I had a person who had lost somebody actually have a heart attack. And, her friend said, maybe it's all the stress in her life causing that, you know what I mean? Because she had just lost her mother. So this is, in a way, something that you kind of don't want to hear, but it's a thing. So take care of your health. That's number one. She had other kids, obviously, so now they're grieving, right, over their brother and their mother. She has a mother who's grieving over her right now. So it's not. I don't know how big the funeral is going to be. Usually they like it kind of quiet. But you never know. So it's sad. But there you go. So a lot of things going on there. So yeah, sad. All right, people. I know we're almost out of time. I will say this: there's a lot of stuff going on, and you got to be careful out there. I'll give you an example. Here is another thing. It's saying a side effect from vaccine. Now, I said this, that there will be problems with the vaccines that have been kind of given. I also say it's better to have something rather than nothing, because I know a lot of people that have died without a vaccine, right? And there are more viruses coming, so the latest vaccine is probably the best, but there are some that are going, okay, what next? So here it is. This is the headline. It says, what we know about COVID vaccines, an extremely rare, whoa, didn't know this was a thing, heart problems. Okay. It says there's been no announcement about what caused a cardiac arrest. Oh, after the tackle during the Monday Night Football game between Cincinnati Bengals and Buffalo Bills on January 2nd. But again, people are speculating. One unfounded claim, meaning it hasn't been proven, making the rounds, is that the 24-year-old's medical emergency was caused by COVID vaccine. Now, here's the thing, and you got to be careful with this information. It could be the vaccine, but it also could be COVID. COVID attacks, with or without the vaccine, the body parts, okay? And there's going to be more information on this. So I know people are going to be like, what? There's information about Moderna. There's information about Pfizer, especially the first round of doses, okay? Because they made that thing go front and center right away in order to save as many people. Now, are people having problems with that? In a way, yes. I know there are skin problems. There are problems like lymph nodes swell. You don't want lymph nodes to swell. They say it's normal. It's not normal. They have warnings on new vaccines now, and they say if you have this allergy or that allergy, or like they watch you in the event of something. Anything that happens in the first 24 to 48 hours of a vaccine shows that there's probably a problem with it down the line, but you won't know until you get it, right? So you have to do your research, and that's kind of hard. I told my mom, get this and get that, get this, because I did the research. But again, there's always risk with anything you put in your body, whether it be medication, whether it be just anything, even the flu shot can be, a thing. So you kind of got to weigh the odds. But again, there's a lot of information coming in, so be careful with it. Just remember, again, weigh the odd of being alive and then not be, okay? So there's a lot of information coming in. People are going, what do we do? And I say do the research and then, be ahead of the next round of COVID because it's coming. So I say if you can, get it, and then take care of it along the way and just monitor. That's all I can say. All right, people, make it a great day, whatever you do. Remember, life is worth living. Live it well. Bye-bye, everyone.